Just another minute. So we're looking for two solutions and trying to justify which the fairest is. All right. Now, is there anyone feeling brave enough to perhaps share what they think the fairest solution to this problem is? So, it is a completely viable solution that you could say, actually the fairest thing is that Rose goes and picks another pair of shoes and just does it herself. And then Anne just pays for her shoes. She's obviously happy to pay $160, she can do that. Rose can essentially just go and pick a pair of shoes for free. So you could do that. Anyone got a solution that involves those three? Okay, so you're saving $100, that cheapest pair. So Anne then pays $160, and Rose is paying, $110, and Rose is paying, Anne $110, Rose $160. So they've each saved $50. 60-40 based on, okay, 633 is the ratio of the saving based on how many pairs of shoes they've gone. So that would be another possible solution. Was that good? Any others? Like if I was working on it, perhaps find the ratio, like what percentage of the total they were each contributing, and then apply that same percentage to the adjusted price to get perhaps a fairer outcome. Now, it's also possible you could just say, actually, they just both buy the shoes they were buying anyway, you just walk out of the shop. Like they walk to the counter happy to do that. You don't have to do anything with the sale. Two separate transactions. Now, there's no right answer. And depending on where you're at with your math skills, you're going to lean toward different strategies, and that's completely fine. But the emphasis then would be sharing the strategies so that you're then being exposed to that whole range of possible strategies. And then have some consolidated tasks that require similar sort of problem solving to then apply some of those new strategies that you've seen. Now, we're just going to pass a few problems, I've already done 3 or 4 problems on your table of examples out of the classroom. Can you just have a look? You don't have to solve them. You could just talk about them at your table, or you can have a go at solving them. And there's a couple of questions. Like, how could you solve them? Can you agree on the most efficient strategy at your table? And is that most efficient strategy shared by everyone on the table? Does everyone agree on what the most efficient is? Or does it differ for different people? Now, I can't guarantee the same experience we've had around the room, but definitely at the front, I think we saw, and I'm not being funny, that we approach problem solving in very different ways. And some things that seem immediately apparent to some are like remarkably challenging for others. So coming to that end problem, like you couldn't possibly across this room agree on what the most efficient strategy for a given problem is. Because it depends on the individual. It depends on the way they see a problem and the way they understand a problem. So we'll never reach consensus on what that most efficient strategy is. And we can put up any of these problems and talk through. And a bunch of us would agree, yeah, this way of solving it's the best. It's most efficient, it's accurate, it's quick. Someone else would be sitting in the room going, no, I don't get it that way. But if I do it this way, it works for me, it's easy, it's efficient, it's quick. So we need to go through that process of exploring what is efficient for each of us. Right? Because ultimately we want us all to be fluent mathematicians, and for that fluency we need the accuracy, the efficiency, and the flexibility. Now, just quickly, a couple of things at home. And there is a handout we'll give you shortly that I do want to have a little bit of time to talk through because there's a couple of things on that which I suspect will strike at the hearts of some of us. But the most important thing is focusing on real problems in meaningful contexts. In any problem we've addressed today, we could just extract in maths, give it as a standalone problem and have the students work out the answer to that. But it's really important to give a problem in context. Because if there's no context, there's no meaning, and if there's no meaning, there's no value, there's no desire. We don't want to solve things just for the sake of solving them, oftentimes. Some students do, and I can't say that for everyone. Sometimes some kids will just love it if you're just throwing sums at them. But for it to be effective and build those connections, we need contexts. Some examples: how many points are Richmond beating Carlton by tomorrow night? Hopefully a whole lot. How much is lunch going to cost? How much change will I get if I pay with this $50 note? If I'm making something in the kitchen, how many teaspoons will I need if I was making this for 6 people? Modifying recipes. But emphasise estimates based on understanding of number, not just on precision. Just coming back to what I was saying before, most times the answer is not the most important thing. Right? It's the strategies that you're utilising to try to get there. And really encourage your kids to use some sophisticated strategies, even if they can't follow them through to conclusion. It's that thinking that's the most important thing. Now, Emma's going to quickly come around with this handout, which I want you to take home and have some time to process. I'm just going to quickly run through these 6 steps to stamp out math anxiety. All right, so this is advice for parents of how we can stamp out maths anxiety in our kids. First thing, encourage children to play maths puzzles and games. They'll help kids enjoy maths and develop number sense, which is critically important. Always be encouraging and never tell kids they're wrong when they're working on maths problems. Instead, find the logic in their thinking. There will be some. Okay? If they're trying to solve a problem a given way, there's a reason they're doing that, and try to figure out what that logic is. For example, if they're multiplying 3 by 4 and they're coming up with 7, I see what you're doing. Right? You're using addition, you know 3 plus 4 is 7, but when we multiply we've got groups of 4 groups of 3. So try to redirect. Never associate maths with speed. It's not important to work quickly, and we know now that forcing kids to work quickly on maths is the best way to start maths anxiety for children, especially in girls. And there's huge amounts of research that girls developing maths anxiety directly correlates with the introduction of time frequency tasks in classroom. Right, as soon as you start hammering them with times tables races, girls are out, like as a general rule. And this is not just in the classroom either. Like this speed ties in with the highest levels of maths. There's some of the most advanced maths Fields Medal winners in the world who went through school thinking they were hopeless at maths because they're slow thinkers. Right? Then being quick does not correlate with being a great mathematician. This is the one that generally, people find the hardest and the most confronting, because it is something that a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people here, default to. Never share with your kids the idea that you were bad at maths, or that you don't like maths, especially if you are a mother. Alright, researchers have found that as soon as mothers shared the idea with their daughter's achievement went down. You've just given them a massive get out of jail card. That's one area of school they don't have to do well in. Easy. And as soon as something gets hard, my mum can't do maths, I can't do maths, I'm done. So it's a really challenging one to try to break that mindset. Maths is a beautiful, fun subject if you can see it that way. But as soon as you shut down, you're completely limiting the potential to achieve. Encourage the number sense. So what separates high and low achievers is having an idea of the size of numbers and being able to separate and combine numbers flexibly. For example, this is stuff we've seen today, when solving 29 plus 56, if you can turn it into 30 plus 55, it's much easier to work out. So being flexible with those numbers is pivotal. And perhaps most important of all, encourage a growth mindset to let students know that they have unlimited maths potential, and that being good at maths is about working hard. When they tell you something's hard, that's great. Your brain is growing. View that and project that as a positive. Just because something's hard doesn't mean it's not worth doing, it doesn't mean that you can't achieve it. And I've time to get 7 minutes to spare. I'm very impressed. Now, hopefully you've got some takeaways, some things you can do at home, and hopefully changing a little bit, perhaps the way that you talk about maths with your kids, and perhaps how you think what maths is at school. If you do have further questions, Emma, Carol, Amy, and myself are around for a little bit. We're more than happy to stay and chat with people who want to. But thank you so much for coming along today. I hope you've had a good time. And yeah, maths is great.
If I could also just thank Luke, because he's put a lot of work in today, and I think he really does explain things brilliantly for me. So thanks very much, Luke, for all your efforts today. And I think if I can just reiterate that message about girls and maths, it's so important, or boys and maths. I'm going to give you my example. My husband's an engineer. He designs things all the time. Maths is his world. And I always said to my boys, oh, you better ask Dad the answer, especially as it got harder. I'm not so sure. And I got a shock one day when my husband was travelling. One of my children couldn't do the maths sum, something in maths, and he said to me, there's no point asking you. Okay? You can't do it. And that's a bit of a shock, right, as a parent. So you've got to change that mindset. You know what? I probably couldn't do it. But my next step is, let's sit down and see if we can work it out together. Let's try this together and have a go. And not be afraid to say, it's okay not to know the answer, but instead of saying that's too hard, I can't do that, go to Dad, which was my default as a parent, that, well, let's work this out. We've got Google, we've got our brains, we can think. So I'd really like you to focus on that language. You don't suddenly have to become the maths expert. Thanks so much for coming today. We really love that it's a full house, and we look forward to seeing you, some of you, at our next workshop next term. Have a great morning. Oh, and please could you fill in the feedback form? We really love those. They really help us.
Yes.